Oh my goodness. Y'all, y'all, I cannot. I cannot with this ridiculousness. Hi. Are we working now? Are we finally working now? Is it happening? Are we doing? I think. Ah, okay, we're doing. It's good. It's good. It's good. Sorry I'm late, y'all. Apparently, I've been having some technical difficulties, and May May was on time for once. But I obviously we're not allowed to be on time at the same time, so that's good. I OBS was struggling. Um, it crashed a couple of times, and then it made me think it was live, and then it didn't seem to be live. And oh yeah, good things, good things. But at least we have a budgie smuggler. Um, So yeah, and we have May May. We have May May and we have Budgie Smuggler. I actually have Jammy Dodgers as well, but she's being a butt Dodgers at the moment, so y'all can't see her. So hello, welcome Najwa, welcome Richard and May May of course, and Ray Ray. May May and Ray Ray are officially now paired in my mind. Um, Yes, I got my granny glasses things finally in the mail. Aren't they adorable? They're like, and I still like the like janky homemade ones that I was wearing for a while. These are a little more. I notice these ones more, and they're slightly longer. They're a little heavier. So I'll probably still wear the other ones at least some of the time, but I really like these. I think they're really cute. They make me happy. Sylvia, hello, welcome. Um, no, I don't think well, maybe it's. I'm not sure if it's updated or not. To be perfectly honest with you, May May, I don't know. I don't know if I updated it. I don't remember if this computer auto updates my apps. I don't think it does. Sonia, hello, welcome. Yeah, it's nice to see you here, Sonia. We're yeah, May May and Ray Ray. It's really I like it. It didn't happen on purpose. But I like it. I'm glad that it happened. Kevin has picked another Manny for you. Hello, welcome, Kat. I'm glad to hear that Kevin is being decisive on your behalf. Um so yeah, today's been a little bit of a lot happening, and I was experimenting last minute. And so I don't know if one of the things that I've tried is going to work, or actually two of the things, because I'm trying some things because I've heard that something works and I don't know if it does. But I guess I'm going to find out. Sassy, hello, welcome. So let's all take a moment to have a sip of water and breathe. Those people, who are those people? You're quite distinctly a Sylvia. Yeah, aren't the granny glasses things so cute? I really like them. They're like, I don't know, they're cute. But they were like $30. So as much as I'm like tempted to get multiple pairs of them for like different seasons and stuff, I just need to learn how to make them as cute as this. No berating water. Do you mean no breathing water? Was that a really good typo for breathing? Because I have never once in my life berated water, but I've definitely breathed it a bunch of times. Hey, it's my little friend here still. You made dinner, but you're full of salad. Oh no. I hate being full of salad. Um, yeah, just spend $30 on materials and supplies. Exactly. I gotta tell you, Najwa, I really liked the no berating water. It makes me happy. You're getting a Black Friday / birthday present, May May. You better link it to me so I can see what it is, or show me when you get it. Okay, so hey, we're gonna do some decal stuff today. Do you want to do some decal stuff? Here, let me give you a heads up so you can see my cute little danglies. I'm such a grandma. I'm officially a grandma. I mean, I'm not, but I kind of am. Okay. Nails. Decals. Because somebody requested a decal stream, and I'll be darned if I can remember who requested it, but somebody wanted a decal stream. And there's a lot of... I mean, I've done a lot of stuff about decals before on other streams. I don't think I've ever done a dedicated decal stream. Maybe I have. But if I have, it's been a while. I've definitely done a lot of discussing decals in the context of like magnetics or in the context of fluid art or, other things like that. Because that is, sort of the final step for some stuff. When if you're going to do fluid art, generally speaking, you're doing it on a mat and then transferring it onto your nails as a decal. So it's hard to discuss fluid art without discussing decals to some extent. But someone requested a decal-centric stream, and so that is the plan for tonight. So we're going to kind of start out with like what you might want to use decals for. So I already mentioned fluid art. And I have right here an example of something that's not fluid art, but that you might also want to use a decal for, which is basically like just a regular marble on a mat, where basically I put lines of color and then I swirled them together with, I don't know where the hell my pin tool is. Here we are. Got this like water marble end for my pin tool. Could have used the other end, could really use anything sort of skinny, toothpick, whatever. Swirled it around a little bit and then sort of pulled it out with the end of a little card that is for a stamping kit, but you could use a credit card or whatever, a library card, whatever you want, and sort of just like get under the edge of it and sort of slowly pull it out to help thin it out. So you can do that with things like regular polish. You don't have to have a fluid art necessarily to do some cool marbling things. And that is often really nice to do on a mat and then do it later as a, apply it later as a decal. Detailed hand painting stuff. The word here is not done in a particularly detailed way, but we'll go over some stuff. There's a few different ways to do hand painted decals. And for a lot of people, it's a lot easier to paint on another surface that is not part of your body, and then transfer it to your nails after you've finished it. So we can go over that as well. And there's a few different ways to do this. There's also just stuff like doing cutout or punch out decals, which I've done a few times before. But I kind of want to talk a little bit more than I normally would about some of the problems that you can run into with it, and how to deal with some of those things. Y'all talking about your parents fucking? That's great, guys. That's great. Chat, Why you like this? All the November babies are going on about what their parents were doing on Valentine's Day. So part of why I was a little bit frazzled was because I wanted to test a couple of different substrates than I normally would use. Because generally speaking, when I'm doing decals, I'm usually doing them on a mat, on a silicone mat. And a silicone mat is really nice because it's super, super easy to pull dried polish off of it. Once it's sufficiently dried, it'll lift right off really easily. However, it has a disadvantage, which is, hopefully you can see that there's like kind of a divot there. Because this polish is wet still, it kind of swells things up a little bit in the area where the wet polish is. It'll basically like create a mound. There, you can see it there as well. It'll create a mound in that area. And that can be problematic for a couple of reasons. The biggest issue that I've found with that is when I'm working with magnets. And so I wanted to test a couple of different substrates rather than silicone for when I'm working with magnets. So to that end, I put together some I already had some magnets just sort of arrayed on this. So I have heard that you can use wax paper, and I have heard that you can use parchment paper to make your decals on. I've never tried either of these before. In the past, when I have done any kind of very sort of detailed, complex, small magnet thing, I've always used a sandwich bag. But you have to be kind of picky about the kind of plastic you're using, because not all little plastic baggies will work. I've had some that it just does not peel off. Sandwich bags, for some reason, it does peel off. I don't know. It's just a different kind of plastic. Yeah, so the star is actually interesting because it looks like it makes a cute flower on this side, but on the other side, it actually makes like a legit star shape. So let me see. I only tried it with the parchment, and I don't know if it will peel off of here, but you can see the star. So you actually get a really crisp star on the other side. But because the lines are so tight, and it pulls so cleanly, it actually ends up pulling in the center. It pulls everything to the bottom. Now, here's the thing that I'm finding, and someone had said to me parchment paper. I've heard it a couple of times that people use parchment paper, and it kind of seems like it soaked in a little bit. So no. It might actually... I think it might actually work. All right, let's see. So this one I had done just real thin. So this was just laid out on a random sort of array of magnets. Okay, so it's not the cleanest. You do have to sort of work at the edges a little bit. But it does pull up. And I imagine that would probably be a little easier if it was a little thicker. Okay. All right, good to know. Parchment works just fine. I was uncertain about parchment paper for this. But there we go. So parchment will work just fine. So if what you have kicking around is parchment paper, you can make your decals of whatever kind on that. So that's going to be like your fluid art decals, or your magnetic decals, or your hand painted decals, whatever you want to do. They will usually look, for the magnetic ones, they will usually look different underneath than they do on top. So that I had just thrown over this little array here. Yeah, so I'm going to check the wax paper one. The wax paper one is, oh my goodness, still way too sticky, so we have to wait. The wax paper one I did later, so we're going to have to try and peel that one later on. I also want to sort of show you how I would do... So for the sandwich bag ones, what I normally do is actually just stick my metal thing with my magnets on it in there. And then usually I will weight it down with something on top. Like just put a couple of bottles off to the side or something just to kind of keep it so that it's right up against the surface and let it dry like that. Because you want the whatever material you're using to be tight against the surface. So you can tack it down with more magnets, or you can use something else on top. But normally that's what I've done for the magnetic ones, is use the sandwich bags. But we'll test the wax paper peel up later on, but clearly it is drying real slow. So, Decals. Yeah. And you say coupons? Oh, like coupons? Is that what... I don't even know what you're saying. Coupons? You have a metal ruler you use to be your metal bar thing. Oh yeah, that's clever. This is just like it's actually like a self-adhesive magnetic strip thing that, you can attach to your wall or whatever, and I just have random little things stuck to it. But yeah, that bodes well for this little star guy. Maybe we should do another one of these. But I do also kind of want to show you what happens if you try to do this with a silicone round. Yeah, that... So you just have to work a little harder to get it started than you do with silicone, but it does work quite well. I am impressed. All right, there's what the star looks like underneath. Isn't that cute? There we go. Very distinct star. I did a mani with this a while back, like last winter, with a blue and silver magnetic. I think it was Winter Sprite from BCB. Okay. So that's cool. It is really nice to know that parchment works. Oh my goodness, relax, camera. But yeah, I did want to show you... Oh, jeez. I did want to show you what happens if you try to use silicone to do this with one of these like fine magnet things. Because basically what ends up happening is it starts out looking good, but then as it bubbles, it'll like lose, like it'll become uneven. And so as the silicone itself swells and bubbles from having the polish on it, it'll end up sort of making the whole thing distorted and kind of janky. It'll pull away from it a little too far in some areas. And depending on how severe that swelling is in any given case and how evenly it ends up swelling, it can end up like seriously distorting your design, or it can just be a tiny bit of distortion. Sometimes it works out just fine. The issue is that it's less predictable. And so if you want a fine magnetic design that is going to definitely be crisp and definitely look good, parchment or plastic, as I said, the plastic sandwich bags. Although I actually think the parchment peeled a little cleaner than the plastic sandwich bags do. So maybe I would probably go for parchment in future, unless the wax paper ends up really impressing me once that finally dries. So, yeah, you can see that it's kind of, it's a little bit distorted here where it's like kind of swollen a little bit more on this end. And I find like the bigger the pattern, the larger the area of the decal that you're making. So if you're doing like a large grid, the more distorted the whole silicone sheet will become. Okay. So that is one of the things. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is how long do you let them dry? So we've talked about ideal materials, but like, what's the ideal length of time? Because you can't do it right away, obviously, right? You're not going to paint out something onto a decal and then be able to put it on your nails right away. There's some sort of a lag there. So time to add another random household thing you never use for polish purposes. See, I have parchment paper in the house because I use it all the time for baking. If you don't, though, those sandwich bags work just fine. So that's an option. Yeah, I mean, if distorted is what you're going for, I guess that could be a thing. Although I have found, as I said, the larger the area is, the more of a problem it is. So if you have like a really big area, like if you're doing a large sheet of like this kind of thing, what can end up happening is that the whole center area, so if you're like putting polish on the entire area, that whole center area can end up being too far away from the silicone to even be impacting it. So that's the problem. But yeah, distorted can be fun for some kinds of things if it's a slight distortion. Shit. A whole lot of the magnets on this thing just decided to pull off and attach themselves to my little step stool. So that's cool. Literally like a big yoink of them just pulled themselves off. Okay. So yeah, so we covered material. The next thing is dry time. So dry time is obviously going to depend on a bunch of different factors. You're going to have, hello, focus. Well, I guess we just get to have a soft focus. Obviously, you're not going to be able to use stuff right away. It does have to take some time to dry. It is going to depend on a bunch of different factors. Will you please? Like, do you know? Oh, you are going to focus now? There we go. So one of the factors is obviously going to be how thick you've put the polish down. If you're doing thin coats, then it's going to dry a whole lot faster than if you're doing thick coats. However, if they're really thin, they don't tend to peel quite as cleanly. So they'll dry real fast, but then you'll have trouble peeling them up. So usually you want at least sort of, 2 or 3 coat thickness kind of, like typical if you're brushing on 2 or 3 coats onto your nails. Around that kind of thickness is going to be sort of the minimum that you want. If you are doing something like a fluid art polish or a fluid art, pour, or if you're doing something like this where it's a marble pour, you're usually trying to sort of thin it out as much as reasonable in the process of pulling that design out. But it's always going to end up being thicker than if it's just brushed on. And so those will always take a little longer. And it's going to depend on things like the specific polish. We all know that there's some polish that just takes forever to dry. It'll depend on the humidity in your room, the temperature in your room, like all that stuff is going to go into it. However, on average, I find that 20 to 30 minutes is usually a fairly safe bet. for how long you want stuff to sit and dry before you try to peel it, as long as it's not super thick. Obviously, the thicker it is, the more likely that you're going to be outside of that range. But for most of like my fluid art things and for this, it's typically going to be something in the realm of 20 to 30 minutes, maybe as much as 40. So obviously that's a long time, right? Especially if you're doing a thicker thing and it's taking a long time to dry because the polish is weird or whatever, or it's real humid in your place. That's a long time. So at that point, you have to ask yourself, do I want to prep my decals in advance? And a lot of people do that. A lot of people prep their decals the day before. I've even heard of people prepping their decals like a week ahead. It does not come without risks. If you let things dry for a super long time, you can have problems associated with that as well. So what kind of problems can you have? I have here, do I just have one? Oh, no, I have one here as well. So this, I don't even remember when I made this. This is like, I don't know, probably a couple of weeks old. I think I might have done this during a live stream, maybe even. I'm not sure. But it was definitely a couple of weeks ago. So if I try and peel this off now, you can see, I think, maybe that it has started to crack in some spots as I'm trying to peel it off. So I end up with it peeling and cracking because when they dry too long, they can become very brittle. So not only does that mean it's difficult to peel them without cracking them, it also means that when you're applying them to your nail, they're more likely to tear, they're more likely to crack, they're more likely to fold and give you ugly, weird wrinkles because they don't conform to the curve of your nail as well. Especially if you have like a more pronounced C curve, you can end up with like a really difficult time getting it to conform to the shape of your nail without cracking and folding and wrinkling and doing all kinds of weird, unpleasant things. Yeah, you're right. I think it was maybe from the spider webs. I have another one here that I think was from the pumpkins. I'm pretty sure. And similarly, like, it's a little bit on the sort of crunchy side. These ones are a little thinner, so they're less prone to cracking, but they still would not necessarily apply super nicely, although they can if you're lucky. But yeah, the thicker they are, the more brittle they're likely to become. But even thin ones can cause you problems. So if you are doing them ahead of time, there's a couple of things to think about. One is that, you don't want them to be too thick if you're doing them the day before or the week before, because they will be more prone to breaking. The other, though, is that you do have the option of reviving them a little bit. So we know that, so this one here feels like it's got a couple of coats. It feels like it's a similar thickness to the blue ones. So we'll sort of use this as a comparison because this was definitely 2 coats and this feels like 2 coats. So I'm going to put a top coat over this. Now, if I had, more like just a clear coat, I would use that, but I don't have just a clear coat. I only have regular top coats. So I'm just going to grab whatever top coat I have and I'm going to re-wet it. And then we're going to set it aside for a little while, not for too long, just until it has had a chance to sort of dry just enough that we can peel it off. So I'm going to try and get all the way to the sides. And basically what we're trying to do is re-moisten the whole thing so that it will become flexible again. Yeah. Yeah, I think anybody that has tried to do decals ahead of time has probably ended up having some of them crack. And if they're real thin, it can even happen if, you only do them like an hour or whatever ahead. It can still happen if they're very, very thin. Yeah, so if you're using a toluene top coat and you're using a magnetic one, if you're rehydrating with a top coat that has toluene in it, I would definitely have the magnet underneath it still. Yeah, because it probably will affect the magnetic. With this, I'm not too concerned about it, and that's not. I don't use any top coats that have toluene. It should be able to soften it a little bit, but it won't soften it all the way. If I used something like the what is that? The Magic Effect stuff from DRK that's designed to re-wet magnetics long after they've completely dried, I would definitely have the magnet under it for that as well. This top coat happens to be one that's kind of thickened up a little bit and has a little less of the solvents in it, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, so I would want to just if I really wanted to make sure that I kept the magnetic effect, I would for sure put a magnet underneath it for this. But otherwise, I'm just going to let it dry just enough that I feel good about trying to lift it. And I can already tell, like, this is so much more flexible than it was. It's really softened up a lot, but it's a little too soft to pull. Ooh, I wonder if I can pull this one yet. See what it looked like underneath. It's a little bit soft, but maybe we can. I think I only used one coat with this, didn't I? So it's real thin and real soft still. And I did not have the magnet under it the whole time. But yeah, it's not nearly as crisp. So the silicone, you end up with a much softer look, which you might enjoy. It might just depend. And that only applies to the super tiny magnets, remember. What was my thought on the mag tool Colette was using the other day? You mean Snazzy's tool? Which just arrived today? Yeah. Yeah, I just got mine. I only got the velvet and the DIY insert for it. I haven't tried them yet, but I plan to. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to actually interact with it yet. I feel like I might be able to peel this. Yeah, so it doesn't take very long if you're re-wetting with a top coat, because it doesn't, at least with a regular top coat. I imagine with a toluene containing top coat it might, or if you're using, like, as I said, like the DRK or something like that, I would definitely be careful. But you can tell if it's too soon to peel. You can always tell because it won't peel. But yeah, so this, you can see that it's much more flexible. I can, like, twist it and stuff. It's not exactly as flexible as it would have been when it was super fresh, but it's a hell of a lot more flexible than this, which, like, feels stiff and crunchy. And I think, can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. That's just like, it's crunch. It's like weirdly crunchy. It's like stiff and crunchy. And this one just feels soft. So rehydrating it really does bring it back to a point where you could apply it on your nails again. So, you can kind of stretch it slightly, and you're much less likely to have awkward folds and such. You think the spinny thing's too big for you? Yeah. There are, there's, oh, you could hear it. Good. There are, some other ones on the market as well for the spinny things. And there's some DIY options that are pretty good. So I don't think I've found like my 100% perfect ideal one yet, but we haven't tried the snazzy one yet. So we'll see. I do really like my DIY one. So far, I like my DIY one best of all of the ones that I've tried. Okay, so that's the timing issue. And as I said, like, it does depend on the thickness. It depends on a lot of different factors. For a thicker decal, like you normally get with a fluid or a marble, generally speaking, you can expect they will take at least like 20-30 minutes bare minimum to dry. But they do peel quite nicely. Here's the underside. Got some interesting stuff happening down there. This has a magnetic in it as well. So I had a magnet under it while I was drying. But it's fairly similar right now in flexibility to the one that we rehydrated. I can just tell with the rehydrated one, it's slightly stiffer around the edges, and it doesn't have as much stretch to it. So with this one, I can stretch it, but it doesn't like feel easy to stretch. It feels like it will tear. Whereas with this guy, this just like oh yeah, that's gonna stretch nicely as long as you're slow about it. So the why stretching is a factor is because obviously you're not going to be stretching it like that, but when you're putting it over your nail, in order to stop it from wrinkling, sometimes you want to sort of just give it a little tug and just sort of stretch and wrap it just a little bit. And like over the tip, you'll sort of stretch it over the tip a little bit so that it doesn't wrinkle as much. So that's kind of part of what I look for when I'm at the application stage. I want it to have a little bit of stretch in it. Not like pantyhose, but like stretch jeans. If that helps. Okay. So the other major thing that we want to use decals for a lot of the time is detailed hand painted stuff, right? So say we wanted to do the word decals, but like much smaller. And we wanted to paint it on our nails. But A, it's hard to paint it on your nails directly. B, maybe you want to have it on your dominant hand as well as your non-dominant hand. And maybe it's just the sort of thing that's a little bit beyond your ability to do nicely on your hands. And maybe it's just that like, you think you can probably do it, but you're just worried about messing up and having to either live with it or start from scratch. So let's say you want to paint like some little flowers. And let's just do a couple of little flowers here. Gonna do like a little, just a couple of little guys here. We'll do that. Maybe we'll have one more down here that's like facing outward, so you can see the inside of it. So like, could I do this on my nails? Yeah, probably. Would it be really freaking hard to do if I wanted to do it on my right hand? Oh gosh, yeah. My right hand is terrible at painting details. My left hand's pretty good at it, but I mean, my right hand is terrible at painting them. My left hand is terrible at painting them, which means my right hand is terrible at having them on them. That's what I'm trying to say. Man, words. Words be like that. Okay, we'll put a little yellow there. I'll put a little bit of yellow up here because maybe there's like a couple of long, I don't know, what do you call them? The little, is it the pistil or the stamen that has the pollen on it? I forget. Okay, and then maybe we'll do some stems here as well. Oh boy, this is very, very green compared to everything else, isn't it? It's a lot greener than I was anticipating for some reason. Don't know why I wasn't expecting it to be that green. I can see how green it is in the bottle. It's very easy to tell. It's extremely freaking green. Okay. You finished a side quest and you're back. You fed the kitties a while ago and you fed yourself. Oh my goodness. Good job. Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that, Leo. 100%. Yeah, that's a pretty common one. Okay. Yeah, so it's like tiny, right? And like, yeah, I can definitely paint that on this hand, but I would really have a hard time painting that on this hand. And you know, it's especially like if you want to, you know, be able to do a bunch that are kind of the same or similar. So like, say you wanted to do, oh my goodness, wait, here, this is a cute idea. What if you wanted to do like a bunch of, hold up. What if you wanted to do a bunch of hearts on your nails, and you just weren't confident in your ability to do, like, you're confident you can sometimes do a cute heart, but sometimes they end up a little bit wonky, and sometimes you end up with one that's like that, and you're like, God damn it. And it's already on your nail, and then you don't know how to fix it, and like, it's just, so instead of screwing with all that, you can just do a bunch of them on a mat, and then you can just like pick the best ones, right? So, you know, you could do, this time of year, people might want to do like some cute little maple leaves. So let's imagine we want to do, because I'm Canadian, I want to do a cute little maple leaf. How the fuck do I do those? I don't know. Just because I'm Canadian doesn't mean I know how to paint a freaking maple leaf. I think it's something like this-ish. I don't know. Help me out here, Ray. What does a maple leaf look like? It's kind of got this kind of a thing. And it's got that. So you could do that. And like, if it sucks, that's fine. You can just do another one over here and try again. And maybe that one comes out a little bit better. And you paint a bunch of them. And then you just take the best ones and you put them on your nails. Right? So this is a fantastic way to use decals. But there's like maybe a step or two that you want to take between just painting the damn things and actually putting them on your nails. Because if you try to lift them off of the mat as they are like this, you may or may not have a good time doing that. Sometimes it's real hard to peel them off. Yeah, it's genetic. If you're Canadian, you actually have to know how to do a maple leaf. It's inherent. No, it's really hard to draw maple leaves, actually. Yeah, so like, if you tried to, once they're dry enough, peel off these little hearts and use those for decals, that would probably work pretty well. They're a little wet still, I think. That you could probably peel those off pretty easily and apply them to your nail. maybe the maple leaf as well. I imagine, you know, if you did like a collection of different kinds of leaves, that's a relatively simple shape. You might lose some stems, but for the most part, you could probably pull them off. But what about a complex shape like this? Like that's probably not going to peel cleanly all in one piece without having any issues, and then apply nicely to your nail. So what do we do about that? Well, obviously we do top coat, right? Now, you don't necessarily have to do top coat. You could, if you're pretty confident that the underside of it is going to look like the upper side of it, you could put whatever color you were going to be using as your base over top of it, peel it off, and use that whole thing as the top coat, or as the decal. But I'm not 100% confident that the underside of this looks as cute as the top side of it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use top coat. And again, I want to use something that's more of like if you have like a gel-like top coat, one of those like sort of thicker top coats, I prefer that rather than a super thin, fast dry top coat. If what you have is a fast dry, thin top coat, then it'll still work. It's just that I find that if the decal is a little on the thicker side, it's a little easier. So I did go a fair bit outside of the edges of the actual image. And we may or may not use that whole thing. There's a couple of different ways to deal with this. You can trim away the excess with a pair of scissors, or you can just apply the whole thing to your nail as is. Either one of those works. If you're doing like multiple small decals that are complex like this on one nail, sort of treating them as like mini nail stickers, I would probably use not paint a large area around. I would paint a little bit of area around, but I wouldn't paint a huge area around, and I might trim them down a little bit at the edges. Just because if you have too many sort of overlapping in those clear areas, you will start to see some thickness and overlap on the nail. It just looks a little awkward. Same as it would if you were overlapping the clear edges of pre-made stickers. Okay. So let's see if I was going to try to peel up these guys. Let's see how well these will. I did these fairly thick, so they should peel fairly nicely. If they were thinner, I'd be more worried. But yeah, these are peeling nicely because I did them fairly thick. If you do them too thin, then you're going to end up with some problems where you'll end up missing out on parts of it. Are you dry enough? This is fairly thin, so it might actually be dry enough. Yeah. So because this was still real wet, it did actually kind of work, but you can see that like the edge where I was lifting it got a little bit wrinkled. If it was a little drier, this other edge, this top, I don't even know if you can see this top edge up here where it's real thin, probably would have been left behind on the mat. But if you sort of overflow the edges with a top coat, then if you have any trouble lifting at the edge, it doesn't matter. You can just trim off that edge, and it's completely fine. That's why I like to use a top coat and just cut away any excess if there's a problem. Oh, is Budgie cleaning? Budgie's cleaning. Hang on. We better... Yeah, these forceps are fantastic. I don't even remember where I got these, but they're really, really nice ones. I might have gotten them from, yeah, it's Decals. I might have gotten them from, like, What's Up Nails, or maybe it was Twinkled Tea. It might have been Twinkled Tea. That would make sense. Here, let's Let's put that back, but backwards. There. I am such a gatekeeper. I never tell you any good information at all. Yeah, let us know. If not, like, I'm sure that they can be found on like Amazon and stuff. I'm trying not to buy from Amazon at all. And also, you kind of don't necessarily know what the quality is going to be like. But not that they have to be super high quality for this, but it helps if they're at least decent. So also when you're picking up your things like this, these kinds of decals, when they have more complex shapes, if you have something like on the E here, on the E here where there's like multiple sort of directions happening, rather than continuing to pull, straight one direction, I would always come back around to the long end and just lift a little bit from there so that you're not putting too much pressure on a joint where there's like a 90-degree angle or more. Just because it is going to it can tear at that spot. If it's going to tear somewhere, it's going to tear there. Similarly, the A, rather than going from the bottom up and just peeling in one movement, it's safer to go from the top down if you want to peel in one movement. Again, because you're not putting strain on these little elbows in here. So safest spot to peel from on the L is this angle here. On the C, it would be anywhere around this curve. You could kind of do it anywhere on the C, really. It doesn't matter quite as much because it doesn't have any really tight angles. The S, I would probably do in more than one pull regardless. So this is just for if you're doing any kind of more complex hand-painted stuff. It was twinkled tea? All right. I just totally accidentally mangled some decals. But you know what? That's okay. Because I made them, so I'm allowed to mangle them. Now they're just cals. They're squish cals. They're slacks. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Never squished cows. Is this dry enough yet? Maybe. I really want to show this thing. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, that came up nice. Okay, so this, again, as I said, you could put it on the nail as is. Or you could trim away the excess. Personally, with this kind of size, I would probably just go right ahead and put it directly on the nail and not worry about it too much. You can kind of melt away the edges a little bit by putting another top coat on. Decals. Sack. It's a sack stream. Okay, so putting on decals and ending up with bubbles. The main reason why you're ending up with bubbles when you are putting on decals is because they don't have enough stretch in them. Remember I was talking about the stretch earlier? You want stretch in them. If they have a little bit of stretch, if they are fairly soft still, if they're like just barely dry enough to peel off cleanly, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, Ooh, is it dry enough? Ooh, I'm not sure. But then it does peel off real nice and clean. You're not going to have any bubbles. Kitty bath. Still happening? No, she's done. So yeah, if you've got some stretch, you're not going to have bubbles, and that is because when you push it, when you actually place it on your nail, you're going to be sort of stretching it out over the nail and smoothing it out, stretching it into place. If you are not applying something to the nail to make it tacky first, then that's going to cause a problem. You may end up with some air bubbles from that. Or if when you are placing it, you are like just sort of plopping it right on and like it's sticking in random locations and then you're having some issues that way, that can also happen. In which case I would say smooth it out as much as possible. Start on one side and sort of squish it over, like gently smooth it over the nail so that you're going always from one side to another or from back to front, whichever works easier for you. I like to try and hold with one of my fingers or thumb the decal in place while I'm smoothing it into place. That will help a lot. But yeah, the stretchiness of the decal is going to make a huge difference. In my opinion, that's the single biggest factor for that. So let's see if our wax paper one is peelable. The wax paper one has not dried. Y'all, it has been over an hour. Okay, so I'm going to say don't use wax paper because this bitch does not dry. It's like fully fucking wet still. It's fully wet still. Like it's wet. Hello? Do we focus? Do we know what that is? Yeah, this fingerprint here is the one that I just... It's... I am shocked. Okay, so don't use wax paper. I'm shocked. Anyway, that would have been a cool one. You can see on the underside. How's the wax paper doing that? I don't know, Sonia. I don't know. I do not understand how that is happening. I do not understand how that is happening. The best I can guess is that it's not able to evaporate the solvents out that side. So it only has the top surface. But I would expect the top surface to still be able to evaporate reasonably well. So, I mean, I know for sure the solvents are coming out all over the place in normal circumstances. But yeah, I don't understand why that would be the case. Yeah, Leo, good point. Do use it as a palette because your paint doesn't dry. I guess you could try using wax paper for if you were going to prep ahead or something. But if you're going to prep for the day before or something, but I would definitely want to test that. And also I would want to have it in a spot where it's going to be protected from dust and cat hair and stuff. So I would probably put it under something, under a dome. But yeah, wax paper for a palette is a very good idea. I had no idea. I did not expect that at all. That's very cool. Okay. What haven't we talked about? I've done the hole punch thing in the past, where you basically use like a hole punch or one of the shaped punches and, you know, take one of your decals and punch it and clip it. Yeah, no, I threw it out. Leo, I threw it out. I already pitched it in the garbage. Because I don't really want it kicking around when I have cats walking around the room. They kind of go all over the place here. Bum 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 bum. Okay, well let's go ahead and I want to put this decal on. I want to put this specific decal on. And I don't really care what else I do. So let's put this on. Should we do more than one decal though? Should I make a couple more decals? Or should I just use the one? It is a cool star. Do it. Do the maple. I think I murdered one of the maples, but I have one maple leaf there. Are we just going to do like a weird assortment? Let's just apply a weird assortment to my nails. Why not? Why the hell not? I should make some more leaves though. Let me make some more leaves. Actually, that's cute. Why don't I do the star on one nail and then make a bunch more like different autumn leaves with the different autumny colors that I have? And put those on the other nails. Listen, it was not the good maple. It was the janky maple leaf. Okay. Let's do this. I like this idea. I like the idea of doing multiple leaves, maple and otherwise, and applying those in a sort of like falling leaf pattern. I think that'll be cute. And then it can still be like a seasonal cute Manny. And then we'll do the star on one of the nails. Somehow tie it all in. I don't know how yet. We'll figure it out when we get there. You talked about Canada last week and the kids tried the maple syrup. That's adorable. Yeah, of course they would love it. It's basically just like sugar with a little bit of flavor. I'd be shocked if they didn't love it. When I was a kid, we used to always do the sugaring off as a school trip. If you're not from a region that grows maple trees, you might not know that the sugaring off is when they get all of the they collect all the sap from the trees and make the maple syrup. And there's like most of the big syrup farms have like a whole festival around it. They'll like have, you know, historic maple like demonstrations for how the pioneers would have boiled the sap and shit, and they do all that kind of stuff. It's cute. All right. This one's not going to be a maple leaf, all right? We're allowed to have more than one kind of leaf. A little vine in honor of my glasses danglies. I don't know if that would really fit as well with everything else, though. I can't tell you how much I really want to get more danglies like this for like to have like a Christmas one. I think I'm like on the verge of becoming one of those grannies. It's like I feel my inner granny. As soon as I put these things on, I was like, "Oh, I'm a granny now." I don't even have grandkids and I'm a granny. I just have a step grandkid. They're actually I have step grandkids that aren't really my step grandkids. They're my husband's step grandkids. So it's like, I don't know. That seems too far removed for me to claim them. But I don't know what does an oak leaf look like? Is this kind of oakish? I feel like that's kind of oakish. Vaguely, roughly oakish. It's probably oakish enough, right? Probably. I'm going to do some yellow ones. I already have a Christmas lights necklace, Ray. I do have some loops that I got to make my own one. So that's actually a really good idea. Okay, I'm glad it reads as oak. Or at least oak-ish. Oak adjacent. I'm gonna try and do another oak adjacent leaf up here in the yellow. I want to do all the kinds of leaves in all the flavors. And by all the flavors, I mean the 2 flavors that I pulled. Maybe I'll do some of them in the magnetic, but like not magnetize them. Because the magnetic has like a red sort of shimmer to it that I think would kind of read like a flower, or like a leaf. This one's giving me trouble. Why you gotta give me trouble like this? Don't give me trouble. Don't you ding dang do it. Your friend in making complicated nail stuff. That's me. Should you get nail clay for making 3D charms? Duh, May. Did you ask me because you want someone to tell you yes? Because obviously I'm going to tell you yes if you ask me that question. Yes, you should be making your own cute-ass clay charms, May. And if you're going to be making them, then obviously you're going to have the 3D clay modeling shit for your nails. You simply must. I don't like how this one is happening either. Why are these ones giving me more trouble? Is it because it's like too simple a shape? That might be the issue. I'm going to end up spending the next hour freaking painting leaves. No, I'm not. I'm only going to do a few more. I promise. I'm going to try not to spend the next hour making leaves. You know how I get, though. Oh, this is a really bad one. This is like, I should be kicked out of Canada for this. They're going to take away my fucking passport if they see this shit. Oh my god, what have I done? What have I done? Oh, this one's a mess. Surely this is fixable, right? Is this fixable? Can I fix this? I don't know if I can fix this one, y'all. This is my maple leaf of shame. All right, maybe if I go a little more up top. Oh, it's kind of oh no. Like it didn't already have enough problems. All right, I feel like if I don't know, y'all. This leaf has issues. I might have to do a second yellow one to try and redeem myself here. Pathetic. Pathetic. You're fine with a 3-hour stream? I'm glad someone is. I don't know if I'm fine with a 3-hour stream. Ah. Yeah, air dry clay doesn't work as well. It is quite a bit heavier than the UV clay for nails. And Maymay does gel stuff. So she's quite experienced with gels. I'm not concerned about Maymay. If she was new to gel stuff, I would not be encouraging her to get the UV clay for modeling for nail charms. But because she is already quite experienced with gel and knows all the safety stuff for them, I'm happy to encourage her to do something cool with it. I'm not anti-gel, I'm just cautious because I feel that there's a lot of marketing with gel that is very much aimed at people who have no knowledge or background that makes it seem like it's so easy and so safe and anyone can do it at home. And you know, you've got a lot of influencers who are getting paid to hawk this stuff, who themselves are not necessarily very knowledgeable and don't have the background, the skill, the training, or the safety knowledge. And so that I get a little concerned with. But yeah, if I know that someone knows what they're doing and has all that safety information and whatnot, then I think it's fine. Yeah, exactly. Gel can cause a lot of problems if you're not careful. It's that, you know, if you develop a gel allergy, it's not just that you can't do gel nails anymore, right? Like that's the least of your issues, not being able to do gel nails anymore. It can impact your ability to get certain kinds of dental work done, certain kinds of medical implants and whatnot require acrylates. And, you know, if you're allergic to the gel, the acrylates in the gel, you're allergic to other acrylates as well. It's not something that happens in isolation. And so, yeah, it's a problem, most commonly for dentistry. But yeah, you don't want to screw around with that. So if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to prevent that and take the appropriate precautions, then you shouldn't be encouraged to mess around with it. Which is why I get a little concerned about companies that are, and like I'm not blaming the people who are using it. Like that's, you know, that's fine. You make your choices. But the brands that are out there encouraging people without making it clear that there are risks, I definitely don't love that. Okay, I need some more oak, I think. But yeah, if you're someone who's already experienced with gel and stuff, and you're wondering if you should get into doing some fucking cool ass 3D shit, then I'm gonna say hell yeah, because I'd be tempted to do it. If I was a gel user, I would be going, I want to play with some fucking 3D shit. I'm just not interested in getting into that level of worrying about my workspace and my cats and my allergies and my skin. This doesn't quite look like an oak leaf, but it's gonna be one. Whatever, it's fine. We'll do another one over here. I have 205 subs. Cool. Yeah, I also love watching people who really know what they're doing do incredibly cool nail stuff. It's always fascinating to me, and especially the 3D work is always fascinating to me. I've done lots of like 3D sculpting stuff with other media, I'm just sort of inherently always fascinated by miniature sculpting. I have personally mostly used ceramic clay and air dry clay for that sort of thing. Hello, Ashley. Welcome. Yeah, I hope. Is it on sale, Maymay? Is that sort of the impetus for this? Is there like a really good Black Friday sale for the 3D gel stuff? Yeah, the eczema along with any kind of gel allergy stuff. Oof, that would be a bad combination for sure. I have a subtype of eczema that I always forget the name of. But it's one where you basically get like these real gross little bubbles under your skin. It happens mostly during the coldest part of winter and the hottest part of summer, which is quite interesting. And it's real shitty, and I don't love it. And I also am very prone to contact dermatitis. So yeah, I'm pretty careful about what I put on my skin as a general rule. Yeah, the vision not always happening has a lot to do with just, having enough practice time in, right? Like, the more often you do the thing, the better you get at it, and the more frequently you'll nail it. I kind of got into a thing with these, didn't I? This is the last one, I promise. This is going to be my last. As long as this maple leaf works out sort of kind of like a maple leaf, this is going to be my last one. And then we will go ahead and start with application stuff. Because I truly don't want it to be a 3-hour stream. A 3-hour stream. A 3-hour stream. I really wrecked myself yesterday. I didn't expect it to wreck me so badly. This is a really bad one. I'm doing a terrible job here. I had like a 4-hour shift at the food bank near me. Just like being the person that runs into the back to grab like pet food and diapers and helps people out to their car and sort of like all that kind of running around stuff. Is on concrete floors, and my knees don't like me that much at the best of times, but oh boy, they have been angry with me. So I'm really feeling my granny glasses chains today. They feel very appropriate today in particular. It's very funny too, because I was definitely like, I'm the youngest person that volunteers there, as like all the regular volunteers are all they're basically all retirees, which makes sense, right? But yeah, so I was like, I'm doing all the hauling and all the running around and stuff. It's like, oh Christ, half these people probably have better knees than me. Oh, it's a Black Friday sale and your birthday coupon. Cool. Yeah, the concrete floor is so hard. Anyone that's done enough retail knows exactly what that feels like. It's fucking brutal, but all right, I'm going to set these aside for a moment to dry. Do I want to put them on naked nails or do I want to put a background on them? And am I doing the star on my middle nail? Or am I going to do it on my thumb? Is it big enough for my thumb? I don't know if it's really quite big enough for my thumb. Feels a little small for my thumb. Might work for the middle nail. I think I'm going to do a layer of the magnetic underneath it, though, just because it seems like it might be slightly thin, because I didn't really intend to use it. Okay. Sporkle. I think I'm going to do it on my middle nail. I think it will fit better there. And we'll do this underneath. Use that as our base. And then put the star on that. But then what should I do for the other nails? Should I have... Like, I'm going to put the leaves on them. But should I have nude base to put the leaves over? Should I have a color base to put the leaves over? Should I have a sheer, like, shimmer base to put them over? Y'all tell me. What should I do? That's the problem, Sassy. When I get in the zone and have fun, it's an issue. Shit can get out of control fast. Jammy. Jammy is still being a butt dodgers, but she just woke up and started snorting. Yes to all, Ashley? What does that mean? Yes, I should use naked nail background and put a color background and use a sheer shimmer background. Also, should you add silicone molds for the 3D clay? I mean, if there's specific designs that you think you would want to do, then I see no reason not to, but it's not like you need the silicone molds in order to use the clay. So I think if there's like specific designs, then it might be worth picking up a couple, but also you can just play with it by itself. All right, y'all are not being helpful. I'm going to make a fucking poll. I'm going to force you to be helpful. All right. What? You want a Skittle? Are you serious? Different thing on each nail? No, I'm not doing that. I'm vetoing that. Absolutely the fuck not. Naked. Sheer shimmy. It would help if I could spell sheer. There we go. I spelled it as sure. Color. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck sporkle means. I mean, I know what sporkle means, but as a background, that could mean money things. Just vote, damn it. You're trying to do your nails on both hands for the first time in a super long time, and you definitely just smushed one. Yeah, it might be cheaper to get some molds at certain craft stores, although the sizes, it might be hard to find ones that small, but you may be able to find some. Do everything on each nail all at once. Aqua shimmy. Bum 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 bum. You want tortoise shell? I don't think that they'll like show up well against a tortoise shell background. No, I didn't, Ashley. You spelled color wrong. Don't fuck with the Canadian. A, I have history on my side. B, I'll fuck you up. We wrecked your White House once. We'll do it again. Yeah, no, I can't, in fact, read your mind, Sassy. What do we got here? Looks like sheer shimmy is winning. Okay. Let me think about what I should do for a sheer shimmy then. Okay, I think this is tacky enough that I can just go ahead and smooch this on. So this is the other thing, is that when you're applying a decal, since that's what this stream is about after all, on like a fresh nail polish layer, it tends to be a little bit more challenging than if you're using an actual sticky base. So if you struggle at all with applying decals, I will always recommend an actual sticky base rather than using a layer of nail polish. And the reason for that is that the sticky base is designed to be a very thin, tacky coat, whereas your nail polish, for the most part, is going to apply a little bit thicker as a general rule. And it doesn't dry quite as quickly. And it doesn't dry tacky. So you have a narrower window in which it's the right range of tackiness to use. And it's really easy to accidentally use too much, apply too early, and end up sliding, which we definitely don't want. Yeah, I have heard that the Geneva Convention was our fault. Oh, yeah. Poutine. I mean, I miss poutine. I haven't had poutine in such a long time. I can do tortoiseshell for your birthday next week. Yeah, maybe. I don't think I've ever done tortoiseshell nails. Have I ever done tortoiseshell nails? I may not have done tortoiseshell nails, so maybe that's an idea. I can try tortoiseshell nails. That's an interesting concept. Okay. Yeah, so I'm kind of trying to hit like the sweet spot where it's like I can feel that it's a little bit tacky, but my finger isn't like easily imprinting. And then I kind of want to figure out exactly where I want this. I think because I don't want the star because it's already kind of off to the side. I think I'm going to go sort of here and try and make it so that I'm just barely on the edge of my nail with this. So I'm kind of lining up this part here with the edge of my nail. And I'm going to just hold that with my thumb and then sort of smooth it across so that I don't get any bubbles in it, hopefully. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of anchor it with these two fingers. And remember, I was talking about how we like them to have a little bit of give, a little bit of stretch. Right? So I'm going to try and sort of stretch it slightly as I mold it around so that I don't get too many wrinkles in it. Now I am going to have a little bit of wrinkling in this because it is a little bit of a thin It's a little bit of a thin decal, and it got a little drier than I think is totally optimal. But giving it a little bit of a stretch and a pull gently as you wrap around the nail is going to help minimize that. And I know some people like to use scissors to cut around the edges of their decals. I prefer to use a cuticle tool and just sort of press gently at first. I'm not trying to actually cut through the first time. I'm trying to just sort of trace gently the edge of my nail so I know where I'm going to be kind of cutting. And I'm just pressing firmly enough to make a crease and be able to feel confidently that I'm in the right spot. And then on the second or third round, I'll start to press a little bit firmer. And this process can be easier or more challenging depending on how dry and how thick the decal has become. But as a general rule, if you're using this process, you should not have to press super hard. You should be able to do it sort of gently and gradually. And you're not really like trying to cut through it. You're sort of defining that line and then putting pressure outward away from your nail on your skin, but not blade first. Like I'm not cutting toward, and this isn't sharp anyway, but I'm like putting the flat sort of against the fleshy part here and pressing like this way, if that makes sense. Rather than like using it as though it's a knife. So that tends to cut relatively cleanly. If it's very soft and squishy still, I often find I can sort of grab it and pull it and basically like pull this way and cut it against the edge of my nail. But when it's a little bit drier like this, I usually will either use the tool or just get my scissors out at that point. And I think in this case I will get my scissors out because it's a little bit thin. Reminds you of people working with fondant. There's a reason for that. It's interesting, there's a little bit, not a huge amount, but there's a little bit of overlap between like fondant and pastry and nail decals and pottery clay, when you're slab working pottery. So working with flat slabs of pottery. It all kind of has some similar qualities to it that means a lot of the techniques actually do overlap. Okay, so I'm going to cut a little bit of excess away there, and then I'm going to use my cleanup brush to melt the edges. So just dab a little bit. I shouldn't need to actually brush away too much because it was fairly dry. When I have wetter decals, sometimes they sort of smudge a little bit at the edges as I'm doing that press cut. And so I do end up having to do a little bit of cleanup. But when it's dry like this, generally speaking, the little bit that I'm doing here is more about sort of gently dabbing a little acetone onto the edges to help it sort of stick down a little more. And then taking away any excess that was in the wrong spot. And then on the edges here, along the edge of the nail, I'm just dabbing with the acetone to soften that a little bit. And then I'll wait a moment to let some of the acetone evaporate and then sort of wrap it a little bit around that edge. And then if there's a little excess flap in here, we can get rid of that just using regular sort of cleanup technique. It's too bad I didn't do a second S here, huh? That would have been good. Ghislaine, hello, welcome. You're kind of late, but, you know, I appreciate you. I'm glad that people are learning something. Okay, so I think that one looks pretty good. It's kind of fun, actually. I really like this. I kind of want to do a whole mani of this, but we're gonna stick with the plan because it's already 20 to 10. So, all right. So the next thing is going to be these guys, but I need a base, and oh, I guess I can stop the. Oh no, sheer shimmy and color ended up catching up. So we have sheer shimmy and color are tied. All right. Is there anybody that hasn't voted? It's just lurking. Oh, okay. I'm going to end the poll. And I'm going to make an executive decision. I don't know what it is yet, though. So I'm going to give you a cat while I figure that out. Let's see. Okay. I picked two, and I'm going to let you choose between them. And they're both chosen because they remind me of autumn skies. Mochi on the Moon and Age of the Stars. And I'll swipe a little bit out so you can see what we're working with here. Okay. So that's Mochi on the Moon, and that's Age of the Stars. Do I need to do a poll, or are y'all just going to yell? I'm waiting for people to yell at me. Najwa says stars. Maymay says stars. Sassy says stars. Leo says Mochi for sure. Stars. Leo, you're an outlier, my friend. Ray says both. Ray's just here to cause trouble. I'm seeing an awful lot of calls for stars here, so I feel like it might need to be stars. Gradient? Are you fucking kidding me? How well do these gradient? The thing is, Mochi has reflective in it, and age doesn't. I mean, I guess they could gradient, but it's not optimal. For the monthly challenge. I guess I could do 2 nails of each color. Maybe that's the way to go. Do these 2 with Age of Stars and these 2 with Mochi. That could be kind of cute. I'm a little bit tempted to do that. But not a fucking gradient. All right, let's do that. Let's do that, because I think that could be kind of cute. It's not quite a Skittle, but... Is that what Sylvia's suggested? I missed Sylvia's suggestion of that. Yeah, the star magnetic looks really cute, I think. I agree. Well, we got to get the rest of our decals on here. Little baby decals. We might want 2 coats of these. I don't know. Probably. Are you heading out, Miss Sonia? You're sort of looking like you're doing heading out talk. Did I top coat it already? No. No, that's just the decal. I kind of like it matte like this, though. I think it's interesting matte, so I might actually do a matte top coat on it. I feel like that could be fun. Is bedtime for Sonyo? All right. Well, I'm very happy that you were able to stop by. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. It's always nice to see you in chat. You agree, Matt? Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be cute, Matt. So we'll do that. I should do I don't really want to, so this is the other thing, is when you're doing like decals with a complex magnetic pattern like this, you don't want to be just sticking a regular top coat on there. It's certainly not a toluene containing top coat, because you will absolutely fuck up your magnet, your pattern on there. So we're going to use, instead we're going to use a seal glaze, or any water-based or similarly smudge-proof top coat. And I'm not talking about the ones that claim to be smudge-resistant, but actually they contain all the same solvents that are in regular top coat. I know there's a few brands out there that claim to have smudge-resistant top coats, and maybe that works for some people, but if it contains the solvents that are in your nail polish, it is by definition not a proper smudge-proof top coat. So you want to use something that is not going to be able to remelt your decal at all if you're using something that has a more delicate magnetic pattern like this. Listen, there's nothing wrong with using toluene. You can use toluene. just not for this. Unless you want that magnetic to be just like a nothing. I just can't use toluene myself, but it works great for lots of people. It's fine. It's good. If you like it and it doesn't give you a fucking rash or a migraine, then you should use it. Just not for magnetic decals. All right, second coat. I think 2 coats is going to be good for this because I don't want it to be like super, super dense opaque. I want to have a little bit of light coming through. A little bit of that glowiness. Your magnetic decal days are done. I mean, you can just use frickin' Seal Glaze or one of the water-based smudge-free top coats like the Apipila one. They're both great. All right. Yeah, 2 coats is good for this. Decal. Decal. We will not be calling it a decal. I love Christine. I'm going to say, I love Christine. But the fact that there are people out there running around thinking that all Canadians talk the way she talks, it makes me want to choke a bitch. Some things she says the way she says because she's Canadian, and some things she says the way she says because she's specifically from Ottawa region. And some things she says the way she says because she's fucking Christine. Nobody knows where that shit came from. I suspect decal is probably an Ottawa Valley thing. I don't know. Toluene sets off your asthma. Yeah, I know a few people who have some respiratory problems from it. She couldn't say Sean? What do you mean she couldn't say Sean? What was she saying? How does she say Sean? There is no fucking way she's from Richmond Hill. I was born in Richmond Hill. Richmond Hill people do not talk like that. There's no way. There's no way. She's from Richmond Hill. She had to have grown up closer to Ottawa. When did she move to the Ottawa area from Richmond Hill? She pronounced it Sheen. Okay. It's not an uncommon name in Canada, I promise you. I promise you. Lots of people in Canada are named Sean. Amazing. Yeah, Canada is fucking huge. She said she grew up in Richmond Hill, huh? Interesting. So she's just extra weird, is what I'm hearing. She's just a fucking weirdo. All right. She moved there when she went to college. All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't think that the way that she talks is normal for Richmond Hill. I mean, I didn't grow up in Richmond Hill, but I did live in that area until I was 5 or so. And it's not that far out of Toronto. It's just North Toronto. Like, it's really... If you grow up in Richmond Hill, you basically talk the same way someone from Toronto talks. Yeah, Sean is not an uncommon name. It is absolutely not an uncommon name. So we know she can't say Siobhan. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, Sean is not it's not an uncommon name in Canada. That is hilarious. Okay, where are all my decals? It's less weird than decal, I think. But it can just be decal. It's fine for it to just be decal. It's a very normal word. Ray, you grew up around Richmond Hill? Yeah, I don't know where she gets that accent from. It is weird. It is real weird. Okay, I think bum 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 bum. Let us begin with I want to do the lighter nails and then see where we're at before deciding on the darker nails. Because I feel like the lighter nails are gonna the leaves are gonna pop against them better. So I want to focus more on those. Just trying to very carefully lift these, and I'm also trying to like give these enough time to give the base enough time to dry a little bit. Ray, I don't think I knew you grew up around Richmond Hill. I was born in the Richmond Hill Hospital, but we were living in Maple until I was like 5 or so. And then I guess, where the hell was my dad living? I'm not sure where my dad was living when I lived with him for a while, somewhere northish Toronto. When I was a kid, that might have been Richmond Hill, or it might have been, actually, we might have still been in Maple. Nope, we were in Thornhill. Brain just did it. Brain did the thing. We were in Thornhill from when I was 5 till 8. And then after that, I was in the Kingston-ish area for basically until I was in my early 20s when I moved back to Toronto. That's going to be meaningful to nobody but Ray. This one's just for the Canadians. This one's just for the people from the Toronto area. Did I pull that one? I did not pull that one. I figure I'll just loosen them all off while I'm waiting for the base to dry a little bit. Pulled you. Your blobs. Didn't pull you yet. Pulled you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, sorry to the people who aren't from the Toronto area and have no idea what we're talking about. Ah, okay, good. Yep. Do I need to put I might need to put a oh gosh, I'm a little nervous about I just have to float it. Yeah, she was all around the Grand Theft Auto. Yeah. GTA, we've been known to make that joke. My favorite was way back in the day before they merged all of the suburbs around Toronto into Toronto itself. There was a lot of debate about whether or not they should do it and everything, and anyway, they ended up doing it, and they were calling it the mega city, but it's forever embedded in my head as the megacity, because there's mendacity and perspicacity and all that sort of thing, so obviously it must be megacity. Yeah, it's Greater Toronto Area as the GTA. Yeah, so I'm using a sticky base. as Sassy pointed out, because it's gonna work out better. So the sticky base that I use is not actually technically a dedicated sticky base. It's the Holo Taco quick dry base, but it's very good as a sticky base. So it's gonna make my life a little easier here. I'm just gonna poke that down. Yeah, basically just brush the sticky base or the quick dry base on, give it like a minute or so to dry, and then go right ahead and do the decals. Oop, I just bonked that with my little forceps here. That's slightly annoying. Can I press you back into place? Or do I have to cover you with a leaf? That's not too bad. Bum, 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 bum. Do I want one more? I want one more on here. Maybe an oak. Maybe like this little guy. Do I want it up top? Or do I want it down below? Kind of feeling down below, but maybe up top is better. Maybe this way. I don't know. I'm debating on that one. I'm gonna move to the other now, because I think this one. Come on. That one's gonna go up here. Yeah, it does get really confusing when people say Toronto, but they actually mean Scarborough. I 100% agree, because it is not the same. If you say you're from Toronto and I find out you're from fucking Etobicoke, I'm going to laugh at you. A little oak leaf down here. And then let's do a maple leaf this way. Maybe over just a tiny bit. Can I move you slightly, or did you stick down too well? Oh yeah, you stuck down way too well. That's okay. And then, yeah, okay, so I think I do want to do I think I'll do a yellow oak up here. Your mom bonked her nail and you fixed it for her with the licky technique. Yeah, we are just saying words. It's true. Vancouver's on the opposite side of the entire continent, but yeah, close enough. One more down here. Do I want that one or do I want a purple one? I might want a purple one. I want a purple one. Yeah, it's like people from New York just randomly saying the names of various boroughs, except that even fewer people know what you're talking about because it's Canada. Okay. Bum 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 bum. I think that's. Do I want to do one more? Do I want to do one more? I do want to do one more. Like right over here, though. Can you? Thank you. Yeah, you would probably be closer if you picked randomly UK locations. That's true. The thing with this purple, May, is that it's not purple. Sorry, Jams. It is purple, but it's purple with a red shimmer. And I just feel like it was correct for what I'm doing today. Sometimes I'm going to choose a purple. It happens. Usually it only happens if it's for your birthday, May. But occasionally it happens for other reasons. Okay. Now, yeah, so I am going to put some on the other nails. You did a hot oil soak, and every time you smell like you've been barbecued. I guess it depends on what kind of oil you're using for your hot oil. I do feel that if you're using some of the food scents, it can probably get real confusing. I personally don't do scented for the most part, although I do actually have an orange and I have tea tree. But when I'm doing like an oil soak, I just use regular unscented stuff. It does look magenta on here. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of y'all Florida people. Alyssa is also... So Alyssa's from Florida, or not from Florida, but in Florida. And BCB Lacquers, Brittany is in Florida. All right, we'll do that little guy. Oh, Jammy Dodgers. I can feel you rearranging back there. You're really thumping around. Okay. So one. And actually, I'm going to do this oak leaf over here. Sylvia, you and Sassy are from California. So you really don't know shit about Canada, except that you share in Ontario. That's a problem sometimes with postal stuff, because ONCA can be Ontario, Canada, or it can be Ontario, California. And those are very different places. All right. And then let's do a purple oak leaf up here. And then down here on the pinky, I think we need to do a purple maple leaf. Right there. Vancouver's the hottest place to visit in summer in Canada. You mean temperature-wise? Or do you mean like coolest? Most badass? Because I don't think that Vancouver is the place that gets the hottest temperatures in the summer. I could be wrong, but I feel that that's not correct. I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure if it'll fit on here. Maybe I can just do like a little bit off to the side here. Temperature and climate. I don't think Vancouver gets all that hot, actually. In the summertime. I don't recall it being that hot in the summertime there. I could be wrong. It's been a really long time since I've been there. But there's lots of areas in Canada that get blazingly fucking hot in the summer. just not for very long. Vancouver is certainly one of the warmest places to visit in the winter in Canada. That doesn't always translate. I think I'm going to put a little maple leaf down here. You grew up near Ontario, California, and you were shocked when you learned about Ontario, Canada as a child. My husband's parents lived in Ottawa, Illinois, which of course I didn't realize existed, and so because I also have people in my family in Ottawa and friends in Ottawa, we always have to clarify whether we're talking about Ottawa, Illinois, or Ottawa, Ontario. This is a very dry decal on a fairly wet base, so I'm going to pull out my scissors so it doesn't drag. Bebe showed affection to Musumbi. Oh, good kitties. Good kitties getting along. I love that. So brave, Bebe. What a good kitty. Okay, I'll do a little cleanup on this one because this one got a little messy. But I think I'm glad I put it there. It was a little gappy down there. Okay, there we go. Oh, and I need to mattify my star nail. He's opening his grouchy old man heart. Yeah. Sometimes it takes them a while. There we go. Jamie has been quite tolerant of Timony for the most part. But Timony keeps trying real hard to play with Jamie. And it's not great. Because, like, Jamie is legit in pain and has trouble, like, with mobility. And so, she's just trying to walk. And he'll, run up behind her and try and pounce on her or something. And it actually throws her a little bit sideways because she just, walking is just difficult. So I feel bad for her, but like it's also really funny. But then he ends up like getting punched in the head or something as he goes by. So a tiny bit about Canada because he worked for a company that did business there. Every single Canadian knows so much about America because we have no choice. Because everything is about you. We're not resentful at all. All right, we're back to matte on that middle nail. Should I mattify the other nails as well? What do we think? I'm going to top coat him. He gets punching in the head quite a bit. He does. But he also punches in the head quite a bit. He gives as good as he gets. And he doesn't seem to mind it too much. And of course, it doesn't hurt him. It's not like he's out here getting injured. Nobody is harming the young lad. They're just telling him to fuck off with their paws. As cats do. For Unity, you say matte. Sassy wants Sporkle. I mean, at least the darker blue has reflective glitter, so that's going to be Sporkle no matter what. We could always try one matte and see what we think, but I really like the star one, and I kind of want to just do a whole mani of the star one. It's so fun. It makes me very happy. I'm hearing some matte. I'm tempted to try matte, and then we can revert if we liked it better glossy. All right. Let's try it. Can do a Miss Marvel mani with the star one. Ooh, that's a fun idea. All right, let's see what we think of. We'll try one of each flavor matte and see what we think. Give that a second. We'll give it a second. So November 18th? Is it November 18th? Trans Day of Remembrance? Am I remembering that date correctly? Help me out, internet. Can you just tell me the actual date? November 20th. Yeah, okay, so it's November 20th. So November 20th is what day of the week? Am I going to miss it? Oh no, that's a Thursday. Okay. I think that, that's why, because the manis are due on the 18th. That's why I was thinking that. So I think I do want to do a Trans Day of Remembrance thing next week. Maybe we could do one hand trans and one hand tortoiseshell. Maybe we can do a trans tortoiseshell. All right, what do we think? Do we prefer the matte or the glossy for the leaf nails? We're definitely keeping the star nail matte, but do we like matte or glossy for the leaf nails? We can celebrate, next week we can celebrate Sylvia's birthday and Trans Day of Remembrance. One of each hand. I will, of course, be doing a separate mani before then for Trans Day of Remembrance. But I feel like I wanna recognize it with my stream as well. You like the matte on the dark and glossy for the white shimmer? All right. You know what, Ray? Let's do it. So I'll re-glossify the one white one. It's not actually white, it's just paler gray. And we'll mattify the darker gray. You've been enjoying matte over shimmer lately? Yeah, I often really like a matte shimmy. But I also really like a gloss shimmy, so I feel like There are no bad options here, you know? All of it is good. It's only good options. Okay. So that'll take a moment to mattify. But that reglossifies instantly, so we got that going for us. Yeah, I don't always want matte, but there's definitely certain manis that really sort of scream for matte for me. And some I can kind of go either way. I feel like with this, I could really go either way, except for that star nail, which is just like, hell yes, it really needed to be... did I? Yeah, okay, that is matte. It's just drying real slow. I was like, for a second, I was like, did I not put matte on that? Was that... Did I somehow accidentally put a gloss on there? But no, it's just drying slowly. It's actually not a particularly slow one, but I'm being impatient. Yeah, the only ones that I will never mattify are like hollow. You can't. It's wrong. You can't modify hollow. Mattify hollow. I wonder if you could do a trans tortoise shell. I feel like that would end up just maybe looking weird. It might just end up purple. Because there's so much overlapping, right? I have to say, I do really like a reflective mattified. Like you still get, it's not fully matte yet, but you still get the like little glimmers of the reflective. It's hard to tell in this light, but yeah. Mo matte hollow. Mo matte hollow, mo problems. Yeah, you would have to be strategic. Yeah, it could just look like unicorn marble. I don't know. I'm not necessarily mad at that though. It might be worth trying. Let me just try it on my other hand. See what happens. You currently have reflective accent nails. I love reflectives when they're like just chilling, having a good time and not trying to be the star of the show. You know what I mean? I hate the thing where people take the photo with flash and it's like cartoonishly bright and it's basically like a traffic sign at night. I'm not into that. I don't appreciate it. I don't think it looks nice. May, you have no nails. What does that mean? Do you mean your nails are very short, or do you mean that you've run out of press-ons to work with, or what do you mean? I'm hoping that you mean that you just don't have nail polish on right now. Yeah, that's the thing, Ray. You can't see anything else. It's just the flash. And I just don't... And like, when do you ever see it looking like that? And it's fine if you want to show that as one of the extra images, but there's just, like, so often you get, like, that's the first image, and half the images are just flash photos. And for how often you see that, it's just not... It's weird. Yeah, reflective in normal lighting has just, like, a lovely... extra little twinkle, especially around the edges. It's like, it's a little extra. It's sparkly. It's extra sporkle. We love extra sporkle. It's good. And I love it in low light for that same reason. It gives you that lovely little bit of extra something something that's just tasty and delicious. But you don't need to get punched in the face with it. Short nails and they're naked. Oh my God. May going around naked. That is so sad, May May. It's okay. I had time for a birthday mani for you. Well, I guess this is your second birthday mani. Happy birthday to May May. I did a cute mani for May May that I haven't actually posted yet. I should probably post it. I did a cute mani for May May's birthday. I'll post it tomorrow if I remember. I've had to do a bunch of like swatch posts for brand stuff lately. It's just that time of the month. I always not that time of the month, but that time of the month. I always end up with like all of my stuff being sort of crammed into one sort of couple of weeks or a week or week and a half of posting time where all of my brand shit is happening at the same time, and then I end up having like the rest of the month to just do my own thing. But if I want to be posting stuff in a way that's sort of timely, it sort of kind of has to be all in the front half of the month. Yeah, I'm not surprised you were tired, May May. They work you too hard. Leo, did you join all of the birthday collabs on Instagram? I can't. I had to say no to a bunch. I'm like, I just like I joined a lot, and then I at some point I was like, I have more birthday collabs than days. I can't. I can't do all these birthday collabs. I just there's got to be limits. So I ended up not signing up for a bunch that I would have loved to have done, but just can't do them all. And I do my nails a lot, but there's a limit to how much I can do it. You can't help it. You love everyone. You know, maybe there are just limits on my love. Or maybe I just have to know when to quit. Can't I can only do my nails 4 or 5 times a day. All right? And I try not to post more than 2 manis a day, so May, you want to do nails for Pokemon ZA? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Oh wait, do Americans call it ZA? Do you call it ZA? That sounds crazy. Brian always thinks it's funny the way I say Z, because, you know, Canadian. But I think it's hilarious the way y'all say Z. It sounds silly. Oh, that's right. You got those claw forms. Oh my God, May May. I can't wait to see what you do with the claw forms. I'm sure that they're going to be very challenging, and probably you're going to have a number of failures. No, it sounds weirder to you, Najwa, because you're used to Z, but I assure you, if you were used to Z, it would sound perfectly normal, and Z would sound crazy. But yeah, May May, I have faith in you. You'll get there. I'm sure that it's gonna take some practice, but they're gonna be so cool once you get it down. They're gonna be so cool, and I demand to see awesome claw nails from you. Pakistan uses the same pronunciation as Canada, so you're used to both. See? Pakistan knows what's up. They know how to pronounce shit. They got good food. They made May May. All right, y'all. It's been a 2.5 hour stream. And I gotta go eat some cereal. I'm hungry hippo. I'm gonna give you a cat for a moment. There she is, my little budgie smuggler. Okay, not all of Pakistan made meme, but you know. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out. And I hope you learned something. And if you didn't learn something, I hope you were at least entertained. And as usual, if you have stuff you want me to try or do or whatever, holler at me and let me know what the things are that you want me to do. I think that's it. All right. We'll see y'all elsewhere on the grams and the Discord and etc. Don't forget to do the things, the pressing of the buttons down below. And tell all your friends, tell the whole bunch you just had a hippopotamus for lunch. Oh my god. Sometimes old jingles, they just live there. They live there in your brain forever. All right. Bye. End stream. End.